Hello, I'm Dr. Heidi, and welcome to week 24 of the 1,000-Word Challenge. This week, I'll finish reading Chapter 1 of Charlotte Bronte's novel, Jane Eyre. Previously, I read the first part of this chapter in week 6, and the second part of this chapter in week 10. So if you want to catch up, you should watch those videos first. This book has some beautiful language in it. I hope you enjoy it, even if it's a little challenging. Some of the harder words in this text have been replaced with easier words that mean the same thing. As you may remember, Jane is a child who is living in a house with 3 other children and their mother. The people there are not very nice to her. She was hiding in a window seat reading a book, but the boy, John, discovered her, and now she was in trouble. Coming up. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Brontë, Chapter 1, Part 3. Obedient to John, as usual, I came up to his chair. He spent some 3 minutes in thrusting out his tongue at me as far as he could without damaging the roots. I knew he would soon strike, and while dreading the blow, I mused on the disgusting and ugly appearance of him who would presently deal it. I wonder if he read that notion in my face, for all at once, without speaking, he struck suddenly and strongly. I stumbled, and on regaining my equilibrium, retired back a step or 2 from his chair. "That is for your cheek in answering Mamma a while ago," said he, "and for your sneaking way of getting behind curtains, and for the look you had in your eyes 2 minutes ago, you rat." Accustomed to John Reed's abuse, I never had any idea of replying to it. My care was how to endure the blow, which would certainly follow the insult. "What were you doing behind the curtain?" he asked. "I was reading." "Show the book." I returned to the window and fetched it from there. "You have no business to take our books. You are a dependent, Mamma says. You have no money. Your father left you nothing. You ought to beg and not to live here with gentlemen's children like us, and eat the same meals we do, and wear clothes at our mamma's expense. Now I'll teach you to raid my bookshelves, for they are mine. All the house belongs to me, or will do in a few years. Go and stand by the door, out of the way of the mirror and the windows." I did so, not at first aware what was his intention, but when I saw him lift and poise the book and stand in act to hurl it, I instinctively started aside with a cry of alarm. Not soon enough, however, the volume was flung. It hit me, and I fell, striking my head against the door and cutting it. The cut bled, the pain was sharp, my terror had passed its climax. Other feelings followed. "Wicked and cruel boy," I said, "you are like a murderer, you are like a slave driver, you are like the Roman emperors." I had read Goldsmith's History of Rome, and had formed my opinion of Nero, Caligula, etc. Also, I had drawn parallels in silence, which I never thought thus to have declared aloud. What?" he cried. "Did she say that to me? Did you hear her, Eliza and Georgiana? Won't I tell Mamma? But first—" He ran straight at me. I felt him grasp my Eyre and my shoulder. He had become a desperate thing. I really saw in him a murderer. I felt a drop or 2 of blood from my head trickle down my neck, and was aware of somewhat painful suffering. These sensations for the time dominated over fear, and I received him in frantic sort. I don't very well know what I did with my hands, but he called me rat, rat, and bellowed out loud. Aid was near him. Eliza and Georgiana had run for Mrs. Reed, who was gone upstairs. She now came upon the scene, followed by Bessie and her maid Abbott. We were parted. I heard the words, "Dear, dear, what a fury to fly at Master John! Did ever anybody see such a picture of passion?" Then Mrs. Reed added, "Take her away to the Red Room and lock her in there." 4 hands were immediately laid upon me. and I was born upstairs. Here are this week's words. Expense, the amount of money that is needed to pay for or buy something. Scene, the place of an event or action. Neck, the part of the body between the head and the shoulders. Dependent, needing someone or something else for support, help, etc. Alarm, a feeling of fear caused by a sudden sense of danger. Cry, to shout or say something loudly. Appearance, the way that someone or something looks. Damage, physical harm that is done to something or to someone's body. Abuse, to treat a person or animal in a harsh or harmful way. Aware, feeling, experiencing, or noticing something, such as a sound, sensation, or emotion. Ugly, unpleasant to look at, not pretty or attractive. Rat, a person who is bad or cruel. Lift, to move something or someone to a higher position, raise. Blood, the red liquid that flows through the bodies of people and animals. Mirror, a piece of glass that reflects images. Grasp, to take and hold something with your fingers, hands, etc. Parallel, very similar and often happening at the same time. Usual, done, found, or used most of the time or in most cases, normal or regular. Notion, an idea or opinion. Equilibrium, a state of emotional balance or calmness. Wow, poor Jane. This boy, John, hits her, insults her, and throws a book at her, then she gets in trouble for fighting back. It's really unfair. If you want to read more of this book, I'll put the PDF file on the website for this week's course. Thanks to Paul Nation and his team for making the text a little easier for language learners to read. Be sure to visit the course website to see this week's words. Download Vocab Victor to improve your vocabulary every day. And come back next week for 20 more words. Thank you.